Hello and welcome to another online class of Cambridge Exam Prep. This is teacher Rekha and today we will be talking about reading. In today's session, we will cover reading part 1 and part 2, and in the next 3 sessions, we will cover the rest of the reading part. So without any further ado, let's start the class. Before moving on, think about where you might see signs, messages and labels in your daily life. What kind of things are these short texts likely to say? For example, where might you see a label? On a packet of medicine? On food? On clothes? And what information is it likely to include? Often labels are instructions on how to prepare something. Example, food. Or how often to take something, example, medicine. And notices are likely to be giving you information, example, telling you what's available at a cafe or telling you something that you should do, like parking your bike in the correct place. In part 1 of reading, you get 5 short texts, for example, notices or messages which you might find in real life. For each text, you have to choose the best option, A, B, or C. In this part, you are tested on your understanding of different types of short texts, and this is a true reading task. While the other parts, for example, part 5 and 6, are designed to test your grammar and or vocabulary. This is what a question in reading part 1 might look like. You can see that the text is really short, and on the right are your 3 possible options, A, B, or C. Your task is to decide which of the 3 options reflects the meaning of the text, or which of them is a fully true statement. Once you have decided, you also have to transfer your answers onto a separate answer sheet that the examiner gives you at the beginning of the exam. Now, what is difficult about part 1? When we look at reading part 1, there is just one main difficulty. First, I'm going to show you what this problem is, and then in the following part, we are going to look at strategies that will help you to avoid it in the future. Read the text and the answers carefully. Cambridge English exams are not easy, and one of the biggest reasons for that is the confusing answers that you get in the test. In fact, the questions and the answers are designed to make it more difficult for you. Very often, you will find that some of the possible answers are almost correct, but a little twist with the grammar or just one word that makes the whole sentence negative can turn a correct answer into an incorrect one. In this example, you can see that all 3 possible answers talk about the age of the people who can enter the competition to win a car. In the text on the left, it says that you have to be at least 18 years old. You have to be very careful and find the answer that means the same as the text. At least 18 years old means 18 years or older. So 18 is the minimum age. Therefore, option B can't be true because it talks about a maximum age. Also, option C says that you have to be exactly 18 years old, which isn't what the text says either, because you can be older than that. As a result, option A must be the correct answer. I hope this example has shown you what can be difficult when you try to complete reading part 1. Now let's take a look at how to do it right. We now know what the biggest problem is, but what is the best way to avoid it? In reading part 1, this is quite easy and straightforward. When you read the text and the possible answers, make sure that you underline the most important words. In our example from before, we would underline everything that is about the age of the people in the competition. So it would look like this. This makes everything a lot easier for you because you can now focus on the important parts of the task and ignore everything else. You save time and you can work in a more relaxed way. In part 1, you want to underline the keywords, then analyze what you have underlined, and finally choose the correct answer either by eliminating the wrong options or by finding the correct one. Now we moved on to the part 2, which is a matching task. In this task, you get the descriptions of 5 people who all want to do, buy, or experience something similar. Match each person to one of 8 options. Part 2 tests your detailed understanding of shorter texts. It is a true reading task. As you can see, examples from a reading part 2 task. The texts are not very long, but keep in mind that there are a total of 5 people and 8 short texts. So, altogether, it is quite a lot to read for you. Looking at reading part 2, we can find a few problems that students sometimes have. First, I'm going to explain to you what these issues look like, and then I'm going to show you what you can do to avoid the same mistakes. So the first one is be careful with time. Reading part 2 includes 5 descriptions of people and 8 texts about different places or activities. That is a total of 13 short texts that you have to read, analyze, and match. If you ask me, that sounds you need to be very careful and pay close attention to your timing. If you spend too much time on one task, that time will be missing for the other ones. Like quite a lot of stuff to do, and unfortunately, you also don't have a lot of time. So make sure you are careful with your timing. The next one is the people and the text need to be a perfect match. In reading part 2, you have to match 5 people to 8 different texts. While this might sound quite simple, it can be pretty difficult because, as I mentioned earlier, distractors might lead you to a wrong answer. There are usually 3 things that each person is looking for in their preferred place, and you have to find that perfect one for them. All 3 things have to be there in the text for you to make the match. Tips and strategies for reading part 2. Now that you know about the most important or common problems in this part of the PET exam, let's check how you can avoid these mistakes and what the best strategies are to be successful and save time. Read and analyze what the people want. The first thing you should do when you get to reading part 2 is to check what exactly the 5 different people want from their perfect place. Read each description very carefully and underline the things that are important to each person. In our example from before, this could look like this. You can see in different colors the 3 things that are important to Jenny and Matt when visiting a city market. It is key for you to find these 3 things for all 5 people in order to be able to complete this task. Otherwise, you will have to guess the correct answers, and we definitely don't want that to happen. Match the people one by one to their perfect place. After analyzing what exactly the 5 people want in their perfect city market, we can now look at the 8 short texts and find out which market is right for each person. Start with the first text and see if you can find anything that matches what any of the people want. If you see something, check if this place offers all 3 things, because remember, it must be a perfect match of all 3 things. Repeat this step for the other texts or until you have found the perfect place for all 5 people. In this step, you need to be careful with synonyms and paraphrasing. Synonyms are words that have the same meaning, and paraphrasing means to say the same thing using different words. For example, he doesn't want to be your boyfriend anymore and he wants to break up with you have the same meaning, but I used different words to say them. You will often find that the words in the descriptions of the people are different from the words in the descriptions of the places. Again, let's take a look at the example from before. Here, I have underlined the most important information again, and you can see that text F belongs to Jenny while text G matches Matt. You should also notice that there are a lot of synonyms and paraphrasing. For example, Jenny wants the market to be close to local attractions. In text F, it says that the market is close to museums and art galleries, which are local attractions. So this is all for today's class. I hope all the points are clear. If still you have any problem, you can come and ask to me anytime. Don't forget to do your assignment on Google Forms, and we will see each other in next class. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.